All right, welcome in, welcome in. Let's get our Facebook friends up in here before it's officially time to go. We have spinning wheels, 1 and 2. All right, welcome in, guys. It is Tuesday evening, May 24th, 2022, 6:01 p.m. 1 minute late on the start time there, but that's okay. We were typically pretty well on time. Carl, how you doing, bud? It's good to see you.
I'm doing pretty good. Had a full day with all three kids. Wife was at work, so it was just my day with the kids, and had a good time with them for the most part. I
Good.
just left the house, and my daughter roundhouse kicked my son in the head on accident.
On accident.
Yep. And so as
Say
my kid
more.
is screaming, I'm saying, "Hey, see you later, honey." But no, he'll be fine.
Well, hopefully he is doing well, and hopefully doesn't return the favor. But kids be like that sometimes, right? I definitely remember with my sister growing up. I mean, she was pretty much just did what I said, and we've had a game called the tackling game where she'd run back and forth across the couch, and I would just tackle the absolute hell out of her, just into the couch. And she got up and wanted, do it again, try to tackle me from point blank. God, dude, you're an idiot. She's going to be a doctor here soon, so I guess not too much of an idiot, but no, she's a. I don't want to disparage her too much. She's going to be getting married here in less than a month. God, like 3 weeks now. So that'll be fun.
Wow.
Let's say hello Tuesday. Things are OTAs are going there in Broncos country. A lot going on in the world too, but we're going to keep it Broncos centric today and see if there's anything else we want to talk about as well. But first, let's start saying hello to some of the people here in the chat starting to trickle their way in. Steven Salazar coming in over on YouTube saying good evening, my fellow Bronco fans. Good evening to you, Steven. Hope you're doing well on this fine Tuesday. Kathy Lund, also always great to see Kathy, saying good evening, gang. Looking forward to the show. Looking forward to hanging out with all of you. And if you guys are joining us today, we have our first like coming in over on Facebook, Phil McLaughlin. Thank you, Phil. So if you're joining us on Facebook, YouTube, wherever, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, like the channel, et cetera, et cetera. And we appreciate that. Looking forward to hanging out with all of you. Dylan also coming in here saying, "Sup Broncos country." Make sure you hit the like button on the way in and subscribe if you haven't already. Exactly. Thank you, Dylan. I should have read your comment first. Mike Givens also coming in here saying good evening. Nick and Carl also good evening to Scott. Scott's waving in the background. Good. Giving me the rock on as well. Even better. So there we go. Good evening to you, Mike. Hope you're doing well. Steven also said both checked off and ready to go. Thank you so much, Steven. We also have Jeff Noyes in the house saying hello, Nick, Carl, Dylan, and all of Broncos country. Absolutely. And yeah, I agree. Kathy's saying nice haircut, Carl. You're looking good. What's going on? Where's the hat?
Well, I told you guys before the show, but I went for a run today, and all of a sudden a downpour hit, and I was wearing the hat, and so my hat is drying off at this current moment.
You know what, Carl? This is bringing me to my next point here. Where's the hat? Carl, your hat, something's always going on with your hat. You know what you need to do? Go to Huddle Up Pod, get yourself a backup hat. You need a sunny days hat, one for every day of the week, maybe. You just like you have different pairs of socks, you need a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or something going on there. So if you guys are like Carl, needing to stock up on your Mile High Huddle gear, make sure you head up over to huddleuppod.com. New website, new layout, new gear on the way too, I believe. So check out at huddleuppod.com, get your swag on, get yourself an additional Building the Broncos hat like Carl needs to here. Get one for the whole family. Honestly, that's what needs to be going on with Scott or Carl, because your kids always steal them as well.
That's true. Yeah. I could maybe give them the wet sopping one and
there you go.
Yeah. Go steal theirs from their room or something. But no, it's you're right. I probably need to get a backup or get one for the whole family just so I have those backups sitting there at home. Yeah. But yeah, anybody else, I recommend them. They are good looking hats. Look at Nick's right there. Looking good.
A lot of good. The model could be better, but other than that, Mike Guest in the house saying, "What's up, Broncos country? What's up with you?" David Crespin also coming in saying, "Oars what? I don't know, but either way, hello, David. Hope you're doing well." Leroy Williams coming in saying, "Hey guys, Mile High salute back at you. I'm in Raiders Nation, me and my wife, and I have my Broncos shirt on too." That's great to hear. Hopefully, you're not getting too many dirty looks there. You probably feel, I don't know, would you feel a little bit safer in the Las Vegas Raiders Nation, or I mean, definitely Oakland has had its own little bit
Vegas, by far.
Yeah. Okay, I've never been to either. So
I've been to Vegas quite a few times. I've heard never go to Oakland.
Okay.
Anybody that's maybe been there, you can give your own personal opinion. But I've heard from other Bronco fans that said they did go to Oakland and it was not a good experience. So Vegas, though, there's a lot of people there that are just from all over the world.
Yeah,
you're gonna have fans from everywhere. It's just a tourist destination, so I don't think you have to worry as much wearing Broncos gear. You're still gonna run into a little bit of it, but not quite as bad.
Yeah, the Raiders brought to you by Caesar's Palace. That's a corporate team now, which makes me laugh because, man, they used to be the most neighborhood team, I guess, outside of the Packers in the NFL. Not so much anymore. James Hyatt coming in saying, "Good evening, Nick and Carl in Broncos country. Good to see you, James." Roy also saying prayers to go out to all the victims of the tragedy today. I mean, gosh, I don't even know what to say about it. Sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks. Really, really shitty. I don't know if I can say that, but I did. So there it is. Definitely shitty. Greg Smith coming in here saying, good evening, Broncos country. Good to see Greg in here. Hope you're doing pretty well. Awesome to see you here. And also Tall, Dark, and Mexican saying, what up to my favorite three fellas? Jacked up to hear about day 2. Y'all are the best. Let's ride Atwater's Army. Good to see you, Tall, Dark, and Mexican. EJ is also in the house. Good evening, Nick and Carl and Broncos country. Good to see you. And Zulu saying, where can I get myself a stitched Russell Wilson jersey, limited version? I couldn't tell you. I would look at NFL.com. I think your best bet is actually at the team store. So find yourself somebody in Denver that can probably get one for you there, like a legitimate one, and get it over to you. I'm guessing they are printing them out. If that's, I don't know, creating them like crazy right now, because it's probably one of the most wanted jerseys in football right now. But I'm not your jersey hookup, unfortunately. How many jerseys do you own, Carl?
So crazy thing. I got a lot of jerseys actually, but that's because I had somebody that decided they were going to give all theirs away. And so they called me and said, hey, here is like 10 jerseys and 10 hats. And I got like a Peyton Manning Super Bowl jersey, like legit one where it has the Super Bowl emblem on it, everything. Wow. It was pretty crazy. But they're like, you're the biggest Bronco fan we know, so here you go. But on top of that, I've probably got like 15 now.
Wow. What is your favorite jersey, and what is the most embarrassing one?
So favorite one would probably be my Terrell Davis when they got the new jerseys, the blue ones.
Okay.
And I got that one right after they won their first Super Bowl. I got the jersey, and I ordered a Terrell Davis signed autograph card when they were doing the QVC channel back then. You know, that's where you ordered everything. And they were offering these Terrell Davis cards. So I've got a Terrell Davis autograph signed card. Least, I really don't have any bad ones. Like most of mine are Von Miller, Peyton Manning, DT, John Elway, Terrell Davis. I think that's pretty much, I just got copies of a bunch of them actually. I've got like 4 Von Millers. My kids, one of them got a Patrick Surtain jersey, and the other one got a Jerry Jeudy jersey. So we'll see if those work out.
Well, that's awesome. I would say my most embarrassing ones are probably Jay Cutler and Tim Tebow, riding the wave during that time, but still rock them. And I went to Denver probably, 7 years ago, something, rocking my Jake Plummer jersey. A lot of love for Jake Plummer still in Denver. So got one of the orange ones, and I wanted the orange jerseys back before they were officially a thing. So I'm happy that they're here, but I'm ready for the logo now. I'm going to kind of push that one out there in the universe. Manifest, moving on from the robot dragon chicken head that is the Broncos current logo. Sorry if you love it. I think it's kind of soulless, if you will. So Steve coming in here saying, hello, good to see you, Steve. Also Lawrence Rivera in here with the stars, I'm sure, because Lawrence always comes in supporting us. So says, sup, guys. Thank you so much, Lawrence. Paul's also in here. Hi, Nick and Carl. Edward's in the house, too. And Colin, resident Drew Lock fan, saying, do they have Drew Lock jerseys there in Seattle? I've been in Seattle. I haven't. I just actually went to a Mariners game last night. I have not seen one single Drew Lock jersey yet. So I'm sure that'll change if he plays well. But I'm going to be honest. I think the Seahawks fans here, if the Seahawks go south quickly, I think this fan base is going to kind of fall apart a tad because they're not as entrenched as Broncos country is. There are diehard Seahawks fans, don't get me wrong. But also your window of doing things outside when it's nice out falls like directly like August through September, July through October, which is the beginning of football season, right? So are people going to be watching a bad Seahawks team? I'll just call it out, a bad Seahawks team. Or are they going to be doing stuff outside while they still can before it turns into the gray rain that you get from November on? I think the Seahawks team is going to fall apart pretty quickly as far as the overall support from the fan base. But we'll see.
I can tell you, I lived in Seattle before Russell Wilson was drafted.
Yeah.
And I'd go to the bars, it'd be me and about 4 other guys kind of hanging out, talking more than watching. Then all of a sudden they got good. And all of a sudden the bars are completely filled and everybody's talking about, oh, I've come here every single Sunday to watch the game. I'm like, I've been here every single Sunday the last 2 years. No, you have not. And so, yeah, you're right. When it's winning, when your team's winning, it's easy to want to be a fan. When you start losing, that's where you see the true fans stick around. Broncos have been one of the most steady fan bases throughout the years. I think they still had one of the highest like sold out seats last year of any team in the NFL. I think they were top 5. So it's just kind of crazy for how bad they've been for the last 5 years to continue to see that support. Great to see. We'll kind of see, like I said, Seattle, it's kind of like when the Chargers were in San Diego. Would you rather be outside doing some great things or watch a team that loses a lot?
Yeah.
I'd rather go to the beach.
Yeah. I don't blame them for that. But still tuning in, doing stuff. There were a few days where I was out on the trail and watched the Bronco game afterwards because I had only so many days where I could do things outside. And the Broncos were bad. That's not going to be happening this year, though. Don't get me wrong. Colin also, good to see you, Colin. He says he's got a Tony Dorsett Broncos jersey. That's awesome. Really cool. That's really cool. Lawrence Cervera coming in saying the way the league's material is, I'd rather go bootleg at least to try and use the best material to compete. I have one just to see, and it's held up best in the wash. Sad. Well, make sure you're not drying them. That's for sure. And I think they have like different tiers of jerseys, right? They have like the premium stitched on one, and they have like the ironed on ones that are not as good. So definitely want to get the nice ones there. Nick Mully coming back in here, rocking I think it's like a Thor helmet there, or it's a Vikings fan. Can't tell. Back for the night show. What's up, guys? Not too much, Nick. Great name. No doubt. Slim Slow saying, is Eric doing okay? Any word on how he's doing? Eric's okay. Eric kind of had a kind of heart rate overheated thing going on and got himself a little bit sick, but he's doing well now. No idea what it was, but I can assure you we were just talking. He's doing okay. So thank you for asking, Slim. It's nice. Dale coming in, so I'm not going to be actively participating in the discussions. I'm not emotionally capable at the moment. I'm here listening and saying I love Broncos country. Yeah, Dale, I think a lot of people are looking for an outlet that is not doom scrolling right now, and we're going to try to be that here, but not to minimize what just happened in Texas. No doubt about that. Clee's also in here saying maybe they'll create another autonomous zone. Oh my gosh, Clee, you're going to get me in trouble here in Seattle. Benjamin Flores saying, what's up, gentlemen? Go Broncos. Good to see you. Tommy Simmers also in the house. Good to see you, Tommy. So let's get into it here. I really want to talk about, you want to talk about OTAs. So that is the topics today. We have 2 days worth of interviews and I guess play. I mean, we're not there witnessing it, right? We're not live, so we can't really speak too much about what we've seen, more so what we've heard. So let's kick it off. Yesterday we had interviews from did Russell Wilson interview too? I know Hackett interviewed and Justin Simmons interviewed as well, along with Russell Wilson. So thoughts from day one from Broncos country and OTAs, which would have been yesterday. Any big takeaways?
Well, I really liked Justin Simmons talking about how Russell Wilson's really going to push this defense. I think they've gotten a little lazy over the last few years as a defense in the sense of they haven't had much competition. They could go out there. They wouldn't even have to hardly call a play, and they're going to probably win just because they're that much more talented than the offense. You know, when you don't have a quarterback that can actually fit balls into tight windows and read a defense and all those kind of things, it just makes life pretty easy. And sometimes you get a little lazy in how you go about your business. Well, now that defense has to be ready. He talked about there's times where they're breaking the huddle and the offense is already lined up. Like they're ready to go. Yeah. And they're having to get into play. They're not having a whole lot of time to communicate like they've had in the past. And I think that's a great thing because you're going to see that with a lot of the other offenses that you run into. Patrick Mahomes does that great with that of getting everybody up there as quick as possible, trying to make it where the defense can't really call anything complicated. Justin Herbert's getting better at it as time goes on. Derek Carr's fine at it. No problem there. And so again, this is where it's just preparing them to be sharp in those moments, to be ready as fast as possible, moving like you need to be moving. And so hearing that kind of thing just gets me excited. And that's exactly what they needed. They need a kick in the pants. And hearing that the offense kind of did pretty decent yesterday for a first OTA, usually expect the defense to kind of dominate. And Russell Wilson made some nice throws. I heard he was a little off on his timing a little bit, but beyond that, I mean, that's going to happen with new receivers. Yeah. But he was making the right reads, getting to the right guy. He was still being able to scramble around, make them have to think through, hey, a guy's going to escape this, and we got to cover for longer than 3 seconds. You know, those kind of things. Again, it's just making them have to focus on the little details. That's what really stuck out with me with Justin Simmons. What about you?
Thing that's sticking out with me right now is Michael Ronquillo coming in with the $20 super chat. See Orange Flash? I'm going to go right to that.
Oh, yeah.
So matching my sweatshirt here. Saying good evening, Nick and Carl on building the Broncos. Let's ride and go Broncos. Let's go, Michael. Thank you so much for supporting us. We appreciate you and keeping it going. Also, Phil with the support as well, saying good evening, Nick, Carl, and Scott. I watched the Cortland interview today. It's so exciting to see all the energy these guys are showing. Hashtag let's ride. Hashtag MHH for life. Yeah. The Cortland Sutton, I don't know if you saw my reply to our email that we got from the Broncos and whatnot. I sent it to you, Chad, and Zach, and Scott as well. I just got a big laugh out of seeing how, what's the word I'm looking for? Articulate Cortland Sutton was in his responses. He had like two paragraphs worth of context answering the question. And there was DJ Jones, who was, one or two sentences. Not that DJ Jones isn't articulate or anything. It's just Cortland Sutton, maybe a little bit more comfortable with the media or has more to say now. Maybe he's a little bit more excited because the quarterback situation going on here in Denver. But I really enjoyed hearing from Cortland Sutton today and DJ Jones. We'll get into that as well. But thank you so much for the support, Phil. We appreciate you. Also, thank you for popping our likes, hearts, reaction cherry on Facebook today, kicking it off there. So we appreciate you. Double time there. Also, Nick coming in saying, no worries, it's Thor. No other teams exist besides the Broncos and whoever they play that week. Hopefully this year it looks like the team that they're playing this week doesn't show up as well. It's been far too often that other team looks like the Broncos on the teams that's not showing up week to week, but hopefully that'll change. Hello again, Steve. We said hello earlier, but it's good to see you. So other thoughts here. I like the DJ Jones interview as well. And one of the things that really took away from me here is that, a lot of the same responses to the questions, kind of saying as long as we believe in the defenses kind of, together, we're going to be fine. I think we can be the best defensive line in the league as long as we work together and we believe in each other, that kind of thing. So a lot of times these press conferences, you're not really going to get that much information, but I did find it interesting. He was pressed on specifically what role and what alignment he'd be in. And he said he felt comfortable from 4-eye all the way down to 1 and 0 technique. So I guess he did name the spots he might be lining up on. A whole lot of nothing because he said that he's going to play everywhere. So do you have any thoughts here? I'm really curious to see how this interior defensive line shakes out as far as the pecking order.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. They kept asking questions of how would you attack Russell Wilson? He's like, I'm not going to give away those kind of secrets. I mean, given other teams know this is what you got to do. You know how to stop all these different quarterbacks. It's a matter of can you actually do it? But yeah, you're right. I love just the mix and match that the Broncos have on the defensive line. They've got some different types of bodies that they can put out there depending on the situation. And it's, he had high praise of Draymond Jones. I loved, he said, my old coach would have loved this guy. Yeah. Just showing like, this is what this guy brings to the table. And really, I think he could be maybe the biggest superstar on that defense this year, Draymond Jones.
Whoa.
Putting that out there. I know there's a lot of other big names out there, but I think he could become the next household name and just that guy that everybody's talking about of, okay, he went out there and got himself 12 sacks this year.
Yeah.
And so again, I think those two can really feed off each other, which is nice. He talked about how he gets a lot more one-on-one situations here in Denver than he did with San Francisco. And so I'm interested to see how that goes. But we got Charlie Domingos coming in saying, Sea of Orange in Dallas last November. It was a beautiful sight. Broncos were supposed to lose, still represented well. Yeah, I remember that game of just hearing the fans chanting in the stadium. And I remember even the announcers were kind of like, man, this is kind of weird. We're hearing Bronco fans more than we are hearing Dallas fans. And part of it was because Broncos were just whooping them like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great game. Glad you got to go to that one because one of the few highlights of last year. Really? Hopefully we have lots of highlights this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And was happy that Bridgewater was able to play that one because there was a incident prior to getting while on the plane of an exposure that almost made him not eligible, but luckily that's not going to be as much of a problem anymore. Falling Sloth also coming in here saying, howdy Broncos country. Hope everyone's had an awesome day. Thank you so much, Falling Sloth. It's good to see you. Also, Chase Wellner's in the house saying, evening, folks. Good to see you, Chase. Always enjoy you coming in here. Also, of course, Robert Caslow, WW, W for each, Carl and myself. What he meant was, what's up, Broncos Maniacs? But we'll lean into the WW. Also, we got Bruce coming in here. I don't recognize this name as much. Bruce Casson over on YouTube saying, this year feels genuinely different, Jeff. Don't know who Jeff is in the chat. I know it's Jeff Noise. But this year does feel different. And it feels like this is the main thing I'm coming away from with the interviews so far. It's the Broncos were in that world of suck, and we kept coming back to. I know that Emmanuel Sanders said it 2018, something like that, where the Broncos, we've been in this world of suck since the Super Bowl, and we were not getting out of there. From quarterback to even the head coach. I really do respect Vic Fangio as a defensive mind, but as a leader and an energizer, seemed like he was very much a dark horse on a lot of these players in the locker room in that way. And if you're winning, maybe it'd be different. Losing kind of brings out the worst in everybody, but I digress. But this year does feel different. You have, oh my gosh, hello. Where'd I go? Yeah, you have, hello. You have Nathaniel Hackett coming here, big time energy, and Russell Wilson. We'll get back to that. But first here, our star leaders coming in over on Facebook. I'll poke my head over here. We got at the top, we're inverse. Where's my hand? Where do we go? There we go. Oh, this way. Gary Leeds Palmer at the top, followed by Mark Schrader. I saw Mark was in here. Tim Hoffman and Phil McLaughlin as well. So top star leaders there. Thank you guys so much. Gary really leading the way there with 14,000, then Mark 13,000, Tim Hoffman at 11,000, 6,600 for Phil, and 6,300 for Jacob Foster, the silent one. So we appreciate you guys. And if you guys want to be in the top leaderboard as well, make sure you're getting those stars in. We appreciate you. And speaking of supporting us here, we also got Seth Harmon coming in saying, Darby or Patrick Surtain get hurt. Well, first off, knock on some gosh darn wood. Sorry, I've just probably woke the dog up. But let's not put that out there. But for the academics here, let's continue. Who's playing the boundary and what's your confidence in them? I think the boundary in that situation is going to be Michael Ojemudia. Last year, you would have seen him more than you did, but he suffered a pretty significant hamstring injury that took him almost the entire season to come back from. And very, very, very small sample size. So you need to add that, of course. But I thought he looked phenomenal, actually, in that Week 17 game against Kansas City. He was one of the better players in the field for the Broncos in that game, going back and watching it. So I think it would be Ojemudia. I guess there is a dark horse for Damari Mathis as well. But I think Ojemudia has him in the pecking order right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, he's been with the team here for a couple of years. He's got that NFL experience. You're probably wanting to go more experience on the field. And even his rookie year, you go back to that, he had some highlight moments. Like I remember that Pittsburgh game. Unfortunately, he had like one almost big highlight followed by a big blunder where he went from should have had an interception to the next play being gives up a touchdown. Yeah. And that's just kind of how his whole rookie year went. And a lot of rookie cornerbacks, that's how it's going to be. Patrick Surtain's kind of the unicorn when it comes to how he played as a rookie. So I agree with you. I think Ojemudia, I think he's a lot better than people think. I know I've had a lot of people talking about how he's kind of on the roster bubble, and a little bit in the sense of he hasn't played and new coaching staff coming in. They're going to figure things out. But I really think he's going to surprise some people this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I'm curious to see how the pecking order does work out there. You want depth on that secondary. Darby's only had one truly healthy season, or one season where he hasn't missed time in his entire career to date. So you should expect that you're going to have to rely on that fourth cornerback at some point. K'Wan Williams, I think he's got that cornerback position, the nickel spot, all but wrapped up. I am curious to see if we do see Surtain get some slot looks, given how much the Rams used Jalen Ramsey in the slot over the last couple seasons. He might have played as much slot or more slot than even playing on the outside, but I digress. Maybe you see Patrick Surtain there. Maybe you don't because of how good K'Wan Williams is there from the slot, but we'll see. It will be really interesting. Damari Mathis, I wouldn't rule him out either, but right now, not to be totally Iowa biased, but I do think that Ojemudia is the guy. And circling it back there, you talked about, getting burnt, and that's kind of normal for the cornerback position. The 2020 draft? Really bad defensive draft right now off the hoof. A lot of guys not looking very good there. Ojemudia has probably been one of the top 2 or 3 competent cornerbacks drafted out of that class so far. So if we can say competent, I thought his rookie season was better than Jeff Okudah, who didn't play hardly at all last year. It's been better than CJ Henderson, who was traded already to another team. So the only cornerback that sticks out to me that I think has been better in that class was Jalen Johnson, who's with the Bears and out of Utah. So we'll see. I guess you have also Snead, who we both loved in that draft, who the Chiefs ended up taking in the 5th round, like one pick before Denver. I'm not bitter. Don't say I was bitter. Don't write that down. But we'll see. I think Ojemudia is going to have a good year this year. We got some more people coming in saying hello. Of course, we got, who is it? Oh, there we go. Lewis Condon coming in over on Facebook saying, "What's up?" Not too much, Lewis. Just hanging out with you guys, having some fun, talking a little bit of OTAs. We also got talking talking about just the exciting this next season. And here we go. Here's a question from this one's a little bit confounding to me. And I asked it earlier. I asked it on Twitter. Is PJ Locke the next Justin Simmons? I'm going to go with no on that one. But the amount of PJ Locke questions that have been asked specifically, not just like, a player kind of naming him as a group of players, like reporters asking specifically about PJ Locke to me, has me questioning things. Like, what's going on? Did I miss something? I know you had a big play week or that first OTA, but like, why are we spending so much time on PJ Locke in these press conferences when Justin Simmons Cortland Sutton only gets 6 questions? One of them's about PJ Locke. Why? What are we doing? I don't get it. What's going on?
I wonder if it's the same media person each time.
Okay.
Like, does he just have a friendship with PJ Locke? I know our group talked about that earlier today on some of that. Because it's kind of weird to talk about a roster bubble guy that I have my doubts if he's going to make this roster. You just drafted a safety. You got one that you really like from last year, and you got another one and Johnson that you kind of hope can develop. Jamar Johnson can maybe turn into something. You're probably not keeping more than 5 safeties.
Mm-hmm.
So PJ Locke is really fighting for a roster spot. Why is the love for him? But
I loved him. Like last season and preseason, he was a guy who constantly stood out, but he didn't really see the field very much when you had Caden Stearns pass him. I think even Jamar Johnson had more snaps than him. I know you drafted those guys where PJ Locke, I think, was undrafted free agent or brought in via other means. But I'm just shocked about how much airtime he's getting. And, if he plays great this year, I think they mentioned Cortland Sutton played against him in 7-on-7s and Texas high school ball as well. So that's kind of cool there and hoping for the best for PJ Locke. But I'm like, man, what happened? Did I miss something? All of a sudden, he's a topic of conversation. Yeah. People are asking about him this morning, too. I'm like, what's going on?
Well, I do think part of it is Chase Wellner says it best. He is getting first team reps with Jackson not being at OTAs right now. So kind of surprising that he'd be the next safety in, but I guess he's been there the longest. So maybe he's getting a little bit of a veteran bump at this point. Mm-hmm. But I'd kind of think Caden Stearns would get that spot.
Do you think, sorry to interrupt you here, but do you think that is because Caden Stearns is going to have specifically a different role than Kareem Jackson would? And you're going to see like you're not seeing, let's say, who would I say? Graham Glasgow work at, that's a terrible example. I don't know how to frame it. But because Caden Stearns is going to be mostly playing maybe dime or slot, they're also not utilizing him as that deep safety, which is going to be more Kareem Jackson in the split field kind of looks. So because both of them are starters, you're not moving a guy to a different spot because he needs all the reps he can possibly get at the box nickel spot as that dime backer.
And that really could be it. I'm not quite sure. I'd be interested to ask more of the coaches what's going on there than the players. You're kind of, like I said, you're kind of wasting a question, but we got Phil McLaughlin coming in saying, did Gordon show up today? Is he sitting out all OTAs? He's sitting out. This is how Melvin Gordon has done it for, I think, the last 6 years, if I remember right. And he has his training regimen that he sticks to, and he's decided this is what works. And if you kind of think about it, I think he's only missed 2 games in the last 4 or 5 years. And so it's kind of hard to argue with the results. Now, yes, you'd like to see him building that chemistry, and he'll get there for mandatory minicamp. He'll be there for that. And they'll get plenty of reps. I'm not really too worried about Melvin Gordon, the veteran. Really, these OTAs are more about the young guys and getting them kind of acclimated to the NFL more so than the veterans.
Yeah. No, 100%. Gordon not up today. Not worried about it too much. Did you see the video of his golf swing?
Yes.
Did that come across? Do you have any thoughts on that? You coach golf, right?
Yes, I do. Terrible. Okay, first off, clubs are not long enough for him. I don't know where he got those clubs. Junior golf bag, I don't know, but it was bad. So he's got to get clubs that actually fit him. 2, the swing, terrible. 3, obviously when you get upset like that, it just leads to terrible things on the golf course. So he should not play golf. He should not quit his day job. That's what I should say, I guess, to go play golf on the PGA Tour. It was really bad. I'm honestly kind of a little bit surprised he didn't injure himself, because when you dig that club into the ground like that, it hurts. I mean, it rings through your whole body. I've had a few of those that, shoulder was a little tender for a couple days.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. That's seems like he's having fun. I know he was like irritated about Wisconsin Badger football too. So I'm here for the Wisconsin Badger slander. He said, like, this lady, whoever this lady is, somebody get me in contact with the Badgers because she's about to make me dissociate from the team completely. Hell yeah. Melvin Gordon, he spurned the Broncos, the Hawkeyes. He was visiting Iowa and ended up going to Wisconsin, and the rest is history. But we'll take you back. Maybe he still has a year of eligibility left. I think he declared early, so let's see it. Bruce coming in saying, how do you guys think the positive energy helps create dedication and discipline to the schemes? If you're having fun and you're still taking it seriously, but you're having fun, I think you're going to absorb things better and be more committed to the cause. It's definitely the boss versus the leader. Boss tells you what to do. Leader shows you what to do. And I'm hoping that with the positive energy and everything there. I also love like Nathaniel Hackett. He loves playing that fake linebacker spot over there on the defense while he's watching the offense and yelling at us in a positive way, but energy yelling. So I definitely think it'll help. I mean, there's been a dark cloud that's been over Broncos country for 6 years. And part of that is just ineptitude at the quarterback position. Part of that is other things going on in the ownership stuff. It really has been stuck in. Denver's been stuck in a La Nina with that. We've been here in Seattle now for, it's February 102nd, as far as I know, with the weather the way it's been. But definitely, I do think it does help. And Carl, you can probably speak about this a little bit more given your work with the youths.
Yeah. So I can tell you, I remember when the 49ers came to the Broncos for those, joint practices.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, and that was their Super Bowl year. And people kind of asked, what were the differences of things that were going on? And people that watched it, they said, 49ers came out and these guys are just, it's like it's game day. They're jumping up and down, screaming, music's pumping. Broncos kind of come out of the locker room, just holding their helmets, walking, no energy. And it showed up in practice. Like they just had no energy, where San Francisco's flying around the field like it's like there's no tomorrow. And so it matters. Even in these, especially these kind of days where these practices, a lot of times, some of the, especially veterans, are like, oh my gosh, we have to do OTAs again. I'm counting the years until I'm done with these OTAs. And I remember hearing Mark Schlereth just say, I never want to attend another OTA practice in my life. And I think he's actually there right now. But now I'm hearing about the energy. I'm hearing about, like Cortland Sutton talk about in the film room, they're working on their number of steps in their route. Okay, when I hit the 5th step on this, I'm breaking off and doing this. Those kind of attention to details. That reminds me of Peyton Manning when he came in, and like he went to DT and Eric Decker and he said, okay, this is exactly where I want you to be. When you hit that 5th step, you better be cutting in. You don't take that 6th step. You don't take these extra little steps. He was a stickler to those details, and it sounds like Russell Wilson is the same way. And when you get young guys excited about that, excited about the little details, it really begins to show up in the game where just, you get an extra 6 inches of separation because you didn't take that extra step. That's enough to score a touchdown. And so, yeah, it's making a huge difference all the way around. I'm very excited by it. And I think I guess I don't know about Russell Wilson and Seattle and whether he was always this way of just always amped up. And I think he was. Yeah. But I feel like there's just usually when you kind of go to a new place, there's a new sense of energy. You get to that new job, and that first year especially, you're just pumped up about what it could be. And I'm interested to see how much that really translates quickly to the field.
Yeah, no, it will be really interesting to see how it translates to the field. I'm just excited for this team overall. The offense is going to be fun. The defense will be interesting to see. And again, all comes back to quarterback nihilism. Team didn't matter a hoot before because we were wandering the desert of quarterback purgatory. And here we are, quarterback now that is a known quantity. Maybe Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater will end up being a guy. Maybe not, but we already know that Russell Wilson is a guy. So it's going to be exciting to see what he does this season with this team and going forward. So keeping it going forward, Carl, anything else from OTAs that you've been hearing? Any other storylines standing out right now?
Well, I guess somebody asked the question earlier, who is the player that didn't show up to OTAs that matters the most? Yeah. I know some people are saying Melvin Gordon. I'm not too worried about Melvin Gordon. The right tackle spot has me a little interested in what's going on. Calvin Anderson's not there. Billy Turner's not there. And so just kind of, I know they're rehabbing from injuries, so I guess I'm not too worried at this point, but hey, that's a 3-way competition going on. Every rep's going to matter at the end of this. The more you can get before the coaches and say, hey, look at me, what I'm doing. the better. And then also something that I heard was Garrett Bowles having a great OTAs. I mean, take that for what it is, but doesn't sound like he's really given up a whole lot of pressure. Seems like he's pretty energized for the season and ready to be what he was in 2020 compared to last year.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me that I'm taking away so far is that Quinn Miners has lost weight. And early before the draft, even before the free agency period, it sounded like Miners was not going to get the center spot at all, not going to get much work there. They wanted him at right guard. And then since then, things have changed. And now there's a lot more Quinn Miners potentially competing for center conversation going forward. So I still think it's a long shot, but that change is interesting. I think the Broncos would have loved to upgrade the center position in the draft, but didn't work out that way, is what it is. So now they're going to see if Quinn Miners is the guy there, if Cushionberry does not step up, improve, and stabilize the position. So will be really interesting to see. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it does sound like the interior offensive line is struggling. Now, again, they don't have pads on. There's not all this contact that you will see once they actually get the pads on and stuff like that. But it sounds like Draymond Jones has pretty much owned everyone that's been in front of him. DJ Jones doing a great job as well. So it'll be interesting to see who wins those spots. And I like the depth that we have, but it might be you've got 4 quality backup guys, not really 4 quality starter guys. Yeah. And that could be a huge concern. Interior pressure has always been, to me, the biggest thing that can take down a star quarterback. You know, you can take care of some edge guys. You can do a few things. I remember Broncos against the Ravens in 2012. What'd they do? They let Von Miller and Dumerville win to the outside. And they just told Joe Flacco, step up into the pocket, dude. You'll buy yourself an extra second doing that. They're not going to win on the inside. Broncos didn't win on the inside in that game. I don't even want to talk about it. We're done talking about that. But it just shows, again, interior pressure, though. There's nothing you can do. There's a couple plays. Sounds like Draymond Jones was in Russell Wilson's face before he even got to his full back step.
Yeah, that's a big one. God, it's good to hear that Draymond Jones is playing well too, because makes me a little nervous because he's definitely destined for a big contract, given how much we've been hyping him up on here for years. Whatever happened to Richie Rich, man? Every time I told him that Draymond Jones is a really good interior defensive lineman, he's like, he's not good enough. Okay, he's not Aaron Donald, but he's closer to the top 10 than he is, top 20. So orange colored glasses coming. You guys think they really moved Stearns to corner? I don't think Stearns is a cornerback, but last year he had almost according to Pro Football Focus, his snap splits were almost 1-for-1 deep safety box slot. So I think he's going to play a lot of that box third safety role, which is a different position than the 2 deep that you see where Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons have been playing the last few seasons. So I don't think he's going to be a corner per se, but more of the dime backer is the position I'd call it.
Right.
So also we got a comment coming in here from Benjamin Flores, and I love hearing, I think Mark Schlereth says before Russell got here that all the guys who think they work hard and that they think they studied film hard are going to learn and see what it means to really work hard, and everything they thought about preparation was about to be kicked up a notch. And now they're seeing it, what it truly takes to be a winning team. And that's something too, like the culture has changed. The expectations changed. There's no more loafing it. There's no more half butting it. You are being pushed. And it sounds like it's a slightly different type of being pushed than Peyton Manning. Like Peyton Manning will pull you aside and like embarrass you about it or yell at you on the field. I mean, I still think about him, screaming after with Donald Brown, the running back, missed a block in his time. Like, God, bleeping Donald, like while he's running from it. Russell Wilson's a little bit more, I would say, positive, uplifting, but the energy, the focus, the demand is still there. So definitely it's a culture change, and expectations have changed because you do have that dude in there. There's no questioning. There's no hoping. There's no positive, rosy case scenario. You already know you have a guy in the locker room, and that changes everything.
Right. It's so great when that player is your quarterback. Yeah. It's hard when it's another position, is that star player, that guy that demands excellence. I think about like Justin Simmons. I know that guy puts in a lot of work to be great, but it's hard for the rest of the team to rally around a safety and say, oh, look how much film work he's putting in. I should do the same. When it's your quarterback, like everybody has to up their game. The defense, because you're going to be playing against that guy. You don't want to get embarrassed every practice. Your offense, you don't want to be the guy that makes the mistake. And like I said, it was the same with Peyton Manning. It was kind of nice always hearing, hey, he's first one in the building, last one to leave. Like coaches tried to beat him into the building. They couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He pretty much lived at the facilities for the first month. Like he had a house to go to, but he never went home. And it sounds like Russ Wilson's doing a lot of the same stuff of being there, putting in the extra work, guys wanting to stay after practice, put in extra reps, and Russell Wilson being right there to work with them. And so again, that's just great to hear. And like you said, it just ups everybody's game. And it's teaching those young guys, this is what it's going to take to be a championship caliber team. So you're right. We got Kaylee and Green coming in saying Nick and Carl with a horse. Thanks, man.
Rocking it. Good to see you, Kayla. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. And Will coming in and saying, with Quinn losing weight, will it matter with his push much? I don't think it will. As we saw last year, first off, body types for offensive linemen have changed. Quinn Meinerz is kind of a little bit of a throwback to having a little bit more of the beer belly, the gut, if you will, you like to call it that. But not every single offensive lineman is looking like that these days. They look a lot more like defensive linemen or even linebackers as far as the physique and how they are proportionally filled out. So Quinn losing will matter much with his push. If anything, I think his push should be a little bit better if he's having more speed, because for you physics nerds out there, what is momentum? Momentum equals mass times velocity. Mass is lower, but I think his velocity will be higher because he's going to be able to move a little bit better, which is going to be important for this outside zone scheme. So I don't think it's going to affect his push much at all in a negative way. Should help him move around a bit. Also should, in theory, help his pass protection. Big question for me is the anchor, which last season sometimes you get pushed back on his heels a little bit. Not as bad as some other guys in the interior offensive line, won't name names, but that's my big question. How is he going to hold up in pass protection? That's as much technique, though, as it is his ability to sit back and anchor against a bull rush.
Yeah, and speaking of him losing on some passing reps, Draymond Jones has been one of the big guys. We got KB82 coming in with their super chat saying, what's Draymond and DJ's floor and ceiling next year? I think ceiling, they could be a top 3 interior defensive line, just the two, between the two of them. I mean, we'll have to see on the depth side of things, but I think both of them could be really strong against the run. I mean, Draymond made some amazing plays in the run game. DJ is one of the better run defenders for the interior defensive line. If we're looking at like sack numbers, I'd say the ceiling would probably be like 17, 18 between the two of them.
Yeah.
That's getting pretty high because DJ's never gone above 5. Draymond's never gone above 7 or 8, if I remember right. So, I mean, this is like they're having their career years kind of thing. I know DJ talked today. He said, I want to get over 5 sacks this year. That's my goal.
Yeah.
And I hope he accomplishes it. And Draymond, like I said, I think he could really become that household interior defensive line where they're talking about him in those top 5 guys in the NFL.
Man, that is talking about him top 5 being a household name. I think on the Broncos right now, where would you put him as far as household names on the defensive side of the ball? And then just where he's right now and where he could be based on his position and profile. Because like I love Draymond, you know that I've been big on him since he came out of Ohio State. But I feel like he's squarely behind Patrick Surtain. He's squarely behind Justin Simmons. And I think he's also squarely behind both edge rushers. Bradley Chubb has the 5th overall pick thing going for him. A lot of profile there. And Randy Gregory, I mean, they paid him big money. I know Pro Football Focus has been hyping up like crazy. His tape last year was incredible. And the whole cowboy narrative thing as well. So I love Draymond. Love him. I think he's going to have a great year. But as far as the household name goes, I can't see him jumping a number of the Broncos right now because of just the background, the history, the draft profile, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. I mean, you could even put Kareem Jackson up there as a household name. I mean, a lot of people around the league know him, and he has those highlight plays throughout the year. I think he could get up there to the top 2. I don't think he'll ever pass Patrick Surtain because that guy's getting hyped up already to be the next great cornerback in the NFL. I mean, they're talking about him among the greats right now. I don't think he's quite gotten there. But, but I mean, anytime you take somebody top 10, they're always going to get more hyped than they probably should. And thankfully, he did live up to it last year. And I've heard a lot of people talking that he has been putting in crazy work this offseason to be even greater than he was, which is, I mean, that's great to hear. Just makes the Broncos that much better. But yeah, I would say he could maybe get onto the Justin Simmons level. Maybe.
Wow.
I mean, Justin Simmons is really known around Colorado. He doesn't seem to be well known around the league. Like a lot of people when they're listing off their top 5 safeties, some people put Justin Simmons in there, but not as often as you would think. I think he gets overlooked a lot.
Some of that's probably because of the draft profile as well. Not Minkah Fitzpatrick, not Derwin James, and not one of these highly drafted safeties or whatever, playing for a team that's been more in the national spotlight than the Broncos. But hopefully that'll change with Russell Wilson here in town. We are going to be wrapping up here pretty soon, guys. Obviously, it's the off season and things are getting a little bit slower. So if you have any questions or whatever that you want to get in, make sure you do that. I'm on dinner duty tonight, so I'm cooking a shepherd's pie. So it's going to take me like a couple hours to get that one going, but it'll be fun. Perfect weather for shepherd's pie because it's like 50 degree again here in Seattle and rainy. Shane coming in asking, is Jerry Jeudy okay? I don't know other details as far as everything going on, but he was released from jail. He's met with Nathaniel Hackett. He sat out OTAs day one. I don't know if he sat out today also, but he was there, not in pads. So hopefully he's figuring everything out. Hopefully we don't hear anything but positive things about and from Jerry Jeudy going forward. But as far as everything else going on there, I think he's physically okay, but obviously he has some other things that have happened.
He has a mild back strain. That's why they did not play him yesterday.
Smart.
OTAs again, if a guy's 100% healthy, get him out there. If they're at 95%, it's not worth the risk at that point of the off season.
100%. 100%. Well, any final thoughts, Carl, before we wrap it on up and start getting on out of here? OTAs are here. Broncos have been, the energy is back. The team is back. Excited to see what Russell Wilson does for this team, and curious to see who else they bring up for the press conference as well. It's kind of always fun to see what players they put front and center because that tends to point towards the guys that they in-house believe should be up front, and that's as much, personality and intelligently speaking, et cetera, et cetera. So far, we've got Justin Simmons, Russell Wilson, DJ Jones, and Colton Sutton. Any thoughts on other ones who might be coming forward soon to talk?
I figure Bradley Chubb got to be coming pretty soon. I watched they put out one of his reps today.
Yeah,
and he looks strong.
Yeah, he popped him. It was against Owuzurike.
Yep. So I'm quietly excited about what he could be this year. I know you had looked at a 2018 redraft, and surprise, surprise, Broncos took Bradley Chubb again in the redraft. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are pretty down on him in Broncos country, but when he's been healthy, he's still been a pretty darn good player in the NFL. I mean, had a Pro Bowl year in 2020. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, 2020. His rookie year, I think he broke the Broncos rookie sack record set by Von Miller. And so, like I said, when he's healthy, he could be something. You just got to hope that he can actually last an entire 17 games this year.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see. Would be curious to see if we have any Garrett Bowles again as well. And typically you can follow the money. So you mentioned Bradley Chubb, but maybe they put up Randy Gregory instead. Although Randy Gregory come off the shoulder stuff, maybe they don't want a bunch of questions for Randy Gregory with that going on. So we'll see. Michael Ronquillo coming in saying, great show tonight. Nick and Carl building the Broncos. Let's ride and go Broncos. Greg also coming in and saying, great podcast, Broncos country. Hold your babies tight. Absolutely. And also hope you're doing well, Greg. Shared some information on this morning show. I won't rehash that, but hope you're doing well today. Man, we really appreciate you guys. That's going to be it for Carl and I today. A little shorter here, but that's the off season, right? Not as much to talk about, and we don't need to divvy too much and go down all of that stuff. So Dale also coming in saying, great show, Nick and Carl. Hope your day gets a little better as well, Dale. I know that you've had a tough one also. And Broncos fan 13 saying, hi, Nick Kendell. Hi, Broncos fan 13. Hope you're doing well. But make sure you guys are following Carl and I on Twitter. Carl is at Carl Dumler MHH, and I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you're following us at BTB Football Pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, check out the merch store, huddleuppod.com, and follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod, as well as facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. And it's a ticker for some reason, but if you haven't done so yet, make sure you're following us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube, and we greatly appreciate that. If you, outside of the super chats, superstars, super thanks, etc., just simply subscribing, liking, and sharing our show, our YouTube channel specifically, is the number one thing you can do. So we greatly appreciate that. Carl, what's the rest of your day looking like? Obviously, you know that I am going to dig into some shepherd's pie here pretty soon. A vegetarian shepherd's pie. The wife's a vegetarian, so I cook vegetarian for us. But anything fun for you tonight? No,
I've already done my run. I've got a little work to do. Summertime gets a little crazy with kids out of school, so got to stay home a little bit more. And so that means evenings get a little more crazy for me, just trying to catch up on the things that I've missed. And we're leaving for the weekend to go see my wife's family. So trying to get caught up is pretty much what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, that's good to hear. Hopefully your daughter's no more roundhouse kicks to the face of anybody. But we'll see how that goes. Kids will be kids sometimes. But we appreciate you. Everyone, have a great rest of your day. Hold your little ones tight. And hopefully we can give you a little bit of a outlet today, a little bit of distraction for a otherwise pretty dark day in American history and America. But tomorrow's a new day, right? So we can always improve, reflect today, improve upon tomorrow. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for joining us today. As I always say, choose kindness and choose compassion. Go Broncos.